path not taken. In a world where Carol never spoke those life-altering words to Ross Geller, where she never discovered her true self in Susan's arms, life unfolded along a vastly different path. The apartment on Grove Street remained their shared home, filled with dinosaur memorabilia and the gradual accumulation of family photographs that tracked the growth of their son, Ben. Ross Geller had always believed in the sanctity of marriage. Having watched his parents' enduring partnership, he was determined to mirror that stability, even as the subtle signs of discord began to surface in his own home. Carol's distant gazes out their apartment window, her prolonged silences at dinner, the way her smile never quite reached her eyes when he spoke of their future, these were fractures Ross chose to patch rather than investigate. By the time Ben started kindergarten, the Central Perk gang had witnessed the slow transformation of their paleontologist friend. Passionate academic who once spoke with unbridled enthusiasm about fossilized remains now carried a perpetual weariness in his shoulders. His laughter, once so easily triggered, became a rare commodity that his friends treasured when it surfaced. Monica watched her brother with growing concern, recognizing in his stoic determination the same stubborn Geller trait that had gotten them both through childhood disappointments. During their weekly dinners, she would catch him staring at Ben with a mixture of pride and something that looked unsettlingly like resignation. "He's worth it," Ross would murmur when caught, as if answering an unspoken question. The fated meeting with Rachel Green still occurred. Her breathless entrance into Central Perk in a rain-soaked wedding dress remained unchanged. But in this universe, Ross's quiet offer of comfort came without the undertow of decades-long infatuation. They developed a friendship built on mutual respect and shared history, but Ross's commitment to his increasingly hollow marriage prevented anything deeper from taking root. Chandler, with his arsenal of jokes designed to diffuse tension, found himself at a loss as he watched his friend's spirit slowly diminish. Joey, ever the romantic, couldn't comprehend why Ross wouldn't seek happiness elsewhere. Phoebe, with her spiritual intuition, would sometimes place a gentle hand on Ross's shoulder and remind him that the universe had many paths, a cryptic statement that haunted Ross on sleepless nights. Ben grew into a thoughtful, observant child who inherited his father's academic inclinations but possessed an emotional intelligence that seemed beyond his years. He developed a habit of mediating between his parents, becoming the bridge across their widening emotional chasm. By middle school, he had perfected the art of mentioning Susan, Carol's colleague who in this timeline remained just that, in ways that momentarily brightened his mother's expression. The inevitable breaking point came during Ben's high school years. Ross, finding himself alone in the faculty lounge at NYU, encountered Rachel, now a successful fashion executive. Their conversation, light and familiar at first, gradually exposed the hollow spaces in Ross's carefully constructed life. Rachel's question, "Are you happy, Ross?" hung in the air between them, unanswerable yet unavoidable. That evening, Ross returned home to find Carol surrounded by photo albums. "We did our best," she said simply, her voice carrying neither accusation nor regret, just recognition of a truth they had both been avoiding. The divorce, when it finally came, wasn't the catastrophic event Ross had feared for nearly 2 decades. Instead, it felt like the acknowledgement of something that had silently existed between them for years, a mutual understanding that some loves aren't meant to last forever. The friends rallied around him, not with surprise but with quiet support. Monica offered her spare room, Chandler provided distraction with basketball games, Joey shared dating advice that Ross had no intention of following, Phoebe performed cleansing rituals in his new apartment, and Rachel offered perspective. "You didn't fail," she told him over coffee at their old haunt. "You loved completely. That's never wasted time." Ben, now a young man with his father's features and a wisdom beyond his years, divided his time between his parents' homes. He thrived in the authenticity that had finally been allowed to exist, understanding that sometimes the bravest act of love is letting go. And Ross, no longer defined by a marriage he had clung to out of principle rather than passion, began the slow process of rediscovering himself, finding to his surprise that there was still a vibrant, hopeful man beneath the layers of compromise and quiet resignation he had accumulated over the years.